It's 8:30 on Monday, March 18th, 2024. This dog has got to go. He keeps trying to hunt on the lamb, you know. And then once the lamb starts running, he chases him down and starts biting at him. It's only a matter of time before he kills one of them. So he's got to go. Anyway, I'm out here in the morning. I tried feeding that calf, and he's just not sucking. So I'm thinking maybe I need to warm him up or check his body temperature at least, right? And then yeah, just keep getting him to stand up and walk as much as possible. It's probably the best thing. So, but anyway, yeah, the sheep look fine. They're all laying down. There's plenty of grass here that hasn't been touched. Lots of pointy tipped grass. I'm looking down like right there. The cows are in the hay. Some of the sheep are in the hay. There's even a dog in the hay. So yeah, they're munching on that hay. I imagine the cows are trying to balance their diet out so they're not eating too much protein. Anyway, I'll probably there's a force feeder I can get for the calf that'll force the food down the throat, and you just got to be careful not to put it down the windpipe. Apparently they put an end on it so that it doesn't go down the windpipe, but I want to use that as a last resort. I'm going to try to get him to feed. Oh, poor ram, or poor sheep, limping there on the front left foot. Yeah, I got to get that pen set up, and then when will it be? Let's see, 1 week, a week and a half. I'll be in the pen, and then I can take a look at their feet more closely. I watched a lot of videos on hoof trimming recently. There's not a lot of good stuff out there on YouTube. Either it's the easiest task in the world, or you know, my sheep are special. Probably some of the sheep have like really long claws, really long horn on their claw, and so I'll have to use some tools to try to bring that back to regular size. It's well known that if you feed your sheep grain, that their horn grows faster. And the grass-fed sheep, the ones that are out on pasture all the time, they don't have as many problems with their hooves. I'm debating whether to use the foot bath. At a minimum, I can use water. I could put some dish detergent in to help clean off the dirt a little bit and clean it up a little bit. Then there's other chemicals people use, like copper sulfate, I think it is, or something, which is like, you know, it's supposed to kill the bacteria that's in the hooves. But I have a feeling that a lot of the problems that animals experience, and I'm by no means an expert, so don't take my advice on this, but this is just my intuition from what I'm seeing. So number one problem is probably clean water. Number two problem is that they're not eating good food. Like sheep and cows need to eat grass. They need to be out in the pasture eating grass and weeds. And number three problem is they're in their own manure, right? You got to move them off their manure and give the ground a chance to, you know, digest the manure. And then you get to the micronutrients, the minerals and supplements that they might need that the food isn't providing them. And then probably from there, the next problem they have is just raw chance. You know, they just had a string of bad luck or something, or bad genetics, right? So it's you got to call the herd, right? You got to take the ones that are weak out. You don't have the resources to feed and care for animals that don't perform, and you got to make room for ones that do, right? And you know, I've thought a lot about, like, there's the evolutionary theory of survival of the fittest, which to me has always sounded like nonsense. It says the fittest creatures survive. How do you determine a fit creature? Well, it survives. So the creatures that survive, survive. It's a non-statement. It doesn't even mean anything. But here, for thousands of years, humanity has been selecting the traits that they want in their animals. If they want big animals or small animals, if they want ones with thick coats or thin coats, all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the key jobs of animal husbandry. That's what animal husbandry is all about, is basically selecting for the ones that you want to keep and getting rid of the ones you don't. And over time, especially over generations, you'll develop those attributes and traits that you want. Now, one thing we learned from dog breeding is that if you aggressively select for those features, then you bring along bad features, right? So we had a purebred Cocker Spaniel when I was a kid. She was the runt of the litter. And so that means that she was the smallest one, and she didn't get enough milk. So she never really got big. And also she was retarded. Like, the dog was literally stupid in dog terms, right? So compared to other dogs, the dog was retarded, And that's one of the features of that breed, is when you've selected for those features that give you the Cocker Spaniel, you also end up selecting for the features that make the dog stupid. And it's a pretty well-known fact that purebreds tend to have more problems than mixes, mutts, Great Danes, for instance, have really bad joint problems, things like that. And here in the animal world, I was kind of surprised to see that most people don't breed animals, like, they don't make purebreds, right? Most people take one or two breeds. They might go to somebody who does a purebred and buy one of their bulls or cows. But in the end, they're just, just keeping what they like and get rid of what they don't, So, and over time, that always works. Almost always works, So that was kind of my thoughts there. But anyway, so the last little feature, the reason why your animal has problems, and this is my theory, and this isn't something that I can prove or something that you really should take my advice on, is because the genetics are bad. So you have clean food, clean water, a clean pasture where they can poop. They don't live in their poop, right? And then you have genetics, and then you just have chance. Sometimes something bad happens, and that's what happened. In terms of bacteria and diseases and viruses, or whatever you want to call them, my grandma's generation was convinced that they had to sterilize everything, otherwise they're going to kill their children, right? So they would buy canned food because canned food is sterile, right? And they would eat packaged foods, and they'd avoid natural foods because they were told natural foods have bacteria that's going to kill you, right? Well, that was wrong, right? It turns out that there's such a thing as good bacteria, right? Just like there's good cholesterol, right? There's certain bacteria that you need to survive, that if you eliminate those bacteria, then bad things happen, right? And so nowadays, it's a well-known fact. If you take antibiotics, you have to take probiotics afterwards to repopulate your gut health, because you're going to have all kinds of weird health problems after your antibiotics run their course. It's almost to the point where my daughter had dental surgery to remove her molars, her, what are they called? Wisdom teeth, right? And the doctor prescribed antibiotics as a precaution so she doesn't get infected. But I wonder if maybe it'd make more sense just to not take antibiotics until there's an infection. Maybe there's a chance that the body will heal naturally and you won't need antibiotics. Maybe you're rolling the dice, and if they get infected, it's going to kill them, but I don't know. That's something that, the negative effects of antibiotics means that I haven't taken antibiotics for probably 3 or 4 years now. The last time I took it was for a lung infection, and they didn't work. It didn't work, You know what cured my lung infection? Exercise, getting outdoors. I put a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, food grade hydrogen peroxide, in my humidifier. That helped. I was, hey, no! All right, I gotta go, guys. Bye. So I should probably finish my story. It wasn't the antibiotics that cured my lung infection. Those antibiotics didn't do anything, actually. It was the hydrogen peroxide. I was inhaling it. I was putting on the humidifier, sleeping with the humidifier on with hydrogen peroxide in there. There's a book called The 1 Minute Cure that I highly recommend reading. I don't suggest following all the advice they have in that book, but I do recommend reading it. Hydrogen peroxide is a naturally occurring substance your body naturally produces. It's produced in honey. And what it does is it raises the oxygen levels, right? And the reason why that's useful is because the good bacteria tend to be tolerant of oxygen, while the bad bacteria, doesn't survive oxygen. So when you have places where there's not a lot of oxygen, that's where you see a lot of bad bacteria. So anyway, I'm not a big fan of antibiotics. I don't really see the point in most cases. And I think having the body naturally fight off the infection is better than, smothering yourself with antibiotics and killing off all the bacteria. So that said, when I get a wound, if I cut myself on a piece of wood or on a barbed wire, I'm absolutely putting antibiotics on that wound. And the only reason why is because it tends to heal quicker. I think there's something else in there in the antibiotic cream that makes it heal quicker, But I'm not doing it because I'm worried about I'm going to get a blood infection and die, So anyway, so animal health. And so that's kind of the reason why I'm debating, should I use copper sulfate for the hooves of the sheep, or should I just not do anything, just trim them and send them out to pasture and don't give them any grain, don't give them any dog food. I think that's probably what will work, is just having them in a natural, healthy environment where if they do pick up bacteria, they're surrounded by, a clean environment where their body can actually fight off that infection. So that's kind of my opinion there. Anyway, I'm not a vet. You probably shouldn't trust my advice. And that's all I got for you guys today. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.